This is Future J. I just recorded this session you're about to watch, but I wanted to explain what version I'm currently using. This version is not currently available as an official release. It's what I call a whip release. Think of it a bit of like a beta release, which doesn't mean that it's not working or incomplete, which means that it is pretty much as functional and complete as it should be, but I need people to test it as if it was the real official 0.4. If you want to have access to this version, you'll be able to find it on the Google Sheet under the tab whip release, not version. I have yet to add it, but when you get there, the link is going to be here instead of here. Alternatively, you can join the Discord and go, first of all, the Discord is a great resource to find all sorts of information, notably assets made by contributors that are completely free to use. And in Whip Release, you will find a few threads. Usually the top is the most recent one. And in this case, this is the current release that I will be using in this video. Alternatively, you can go visit the website, link will be in the description, where you have all sorts of useful stuff, like the release board is present here. You can also find the whip releases, same as usual. The tutorials that are on the YouTube can be found here also. There's a bit more information if you want. There's an FAQ. This will be expanded over time, and currently there are plans for adding every single assets that you saw on the Discord server to this website as an alternative to the Discord servers. That being said, I hope you enjoy the video and have a nice watch. Alright, so I'm gonna make the pony in this picture from scratch. I've noticed that there were some confusion about how to customize the hair, how to rig, how to, do a bunch of things like that. So I think it would be helpful to just give an example. This isn't exactly a tutorial, it's mostly a watch along. So feel free to pause or, ask me if I do something a little too quick. But yeah, okay, so first thing first, I'll probably, yeah, I should probably start with the colors. So first thing, code color, I'll be very basic. I'll just, yes. Oh, and in case anyone wonders, that's one of my OC. So yeah, if maybe eventually, like I'm gonna go a bit quick, but maybe I'll go back and redo her more properly. So yeah, let's see. So we got the coat, the inner ear. Okay, and here's usually you might have to speculate on some colors. For example, some details present on the pony are not present in your reference. So, just I like to usually start with something like this, then maybe darken it a bit, try stuff, right? And this usually, the inner ear color I found is usually a good guideline for what the lips should be. By the way, if you wonder what I did, I just Control C while your mouse is over a color, Control V, it's gonna paste it onto whatever is under your cursor. So that's really useful too. Tongue, gum, teeth, those for now I don't think I need to change them, honestly. Let's see, hoofs. So I gave her accessories. They're like golden hoof plating, but I'll be real, I don't have accessories here and I don't really plan on adding that part to this process. So let's just try something out. Okay, let's go like this. All right, and then yeah, maybe the other way around. This saturation's a bit rough to look at, so maybe a bit darker. And then this one, the opposite. I'm not a fan but we can always come back later. Oh, and this is not a feature that's currently available on the Pony, but I will add a more clear way of doing, body textures. Right now it might be a bit finicky, so bear with me on that. I'll go right away and remove the cutie mark because I don't think I gave her one. So let's just omit this part for now. Oops, sorry. Yes. Okay, what next? So if we go in order, all of her hooves are the same color, so I don't need to, check those. Uh, Main, since I'm going to be using the custom main, I don't need to touch that. This is for the default main. If you go like this, it's the color of this main. In the future, when there's going to be more mains, I can probably hook them back to this color, but for now, this is it. Eyebrow. Okay, should probably give it something a bit, that might be a bit too saturated. Like hair doesn't tend to be that, flashy. Okay, eyelashes for now, I'll leave them the way they are. Eye sparkle, I like the eye sparkle in case anyone wonders. It's just that. Eye white stays white, pupil stays black. Texture override, I don't need to, I'm gonna keep the base texture. The iris is gonna be this. Interesting. Here it looks a lot more green than here. So, sometimes you might need to interpret, your reference a bit. That's more, yeah, not necessarily what I want. Let's see, yeah, like that. That's more what I had in mind. Although, not sure that's my favorite. Right, okay, yeah. Value doesn't really do much, my bad. Right, because this is just a color that we slap on top of the texture. It's not really the real color. That, like the name implies, this is an override. So yeah, let's see. I mean, that's fine. I can go back and change it later. For now, I'll get started on. Oh, right. Actually, sorry, I'm jumping the gun. She's a yes, a unicorn. No, but she's a Pegasus. So I need to change this. Interesting. I didn't fix that. My bad. Okay. So wing arm. Let's see. Coat. Gonna paste it here. Okay, not sure what I did with these. I think I did a pattern similar to what the hair has, so let's start with that. Let's say it's gonna be more like this. Oh, okay, no, that's the large one. You want this. Yeah, so if you want to go from this part to the tip, you need to do it in reverse, so my bad. So let's do this and this. Okay, that's fine. Then let's do this and this. Maybe the shadow, that's a bit ugly. Let me change it. That's too saturated, so I don't want it to be a gross yellow. I want it to be nicer. Yeah, maybe like this. Then this should be a bit, could be lighter. That's fine. Next, these need to be, oh, my bad. I keep forgetting. It's in this order. Oh yeah, that's not great. All right, let's give it more of a punch. You know what? If I use this, yeah, the problem is, yeah, I need more of a neutral lighting, so I'm gonna stay like this. Not sure. Yeah, no, that's not great. Let's try something more saturated like that. Yeah, but then, so yeah, there's a lot of like interpretation back and forth, that you can do, of course. It's up to your preference, really. Like this I don't like. I don't like when it's like too saturated. Like it looks very rough on the eyes. I like to keep things not not muted. I'm not afraid of color. I just think, you should be a bit more subtle sometimes. This, for example. Okay, but now I don't want to just wash out everything. Yeah, you barely see them, but actually if I go back into the rig, these, yeah, see that shows a bit more. While we're here, let's check the inner mouth a bit. Actually, I should probably have the mouth then. So what I was talking about earlier, oops. Oh yeah, and by the way, the color of the lip will usually be the color of the inner mouth. Oh yeah, and yeah, this is a bit rough. Let me switch to the high poly skin. I think it's gonna look a bit better. I'll go back. Yeah, this is the render skin that you see when you're rendering. By default, I have the low poly skin open, but yeah, no. I think the high poly skin is gonna look a bit better in this example. Yeah, I don't think I need to change the gum color, although, the gum could match the inner mouth. That could be logical. I'm going into some very useless detail here, but sometimes it's, you know what? Maybe it shouldn't be entirely that. Okay. Tongue, I like to keep it the default color. I think, yeah, I think it's fine. Now let's go back on the rig and let's just Alt R, Alt R, and yeah. So now I can rehide all this. Okay. What else? I think by now we can probably get started on the hair. I can go back and readjust things later. Naturally, you might also want to get started on if there's like body patterns. But for now, get started on the hair. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna make my own hair from scratch. So I'm gonna hide this. I'm gonna create a new collection. I'm gonna call it Friday hair. Friday, by the way, is the name of this OC. It was originally going to be a temporary name, but now I think it fits her. So let's see. First, you create a curve, a Bezier curve ideally. I'm going to move it here, scaling this. Okay, I'm gonna... this is really like, default Blender knowledge that, me explaining would be a bit of a waste of time, really. Like, this is nothing special what I'm doing here. I'm just placing a curve. For people that don't know, a Bezier curve has handles that you can grab individually, and just by playing with it, you can kind of see the logic of what it is, right? And it works like other meshes. If you press E, you can add a point. If you press Control X, you delete points. That's how it works. For now, let's try to see. Okay, let's set our camera. So I press 0 to go in camera mode. If I go in view, I lock the camera out of view. That's what it says here, right? And now I can just move and kind of mimic the original, perspective. I'm gonna zoom out because her hair is very poofy, so it's probably gonna go up. So I'm just gonna do that real quick. Now I can unlock the camera. Now just gonna close her wings. By the way, what I did just now, I pressed tab to exit edit mode, then I click the rig and control tab to go into pose mode. Those are just shortcuts. If you don't know them, you can just, always select your mode here. So if I go back on the wings, I'm going to close them again. There you go. Okay, Control Tab to exit, and I hide it. Okay, so I like to be in geometry nodes mode when I'm working on hair, but it can get a bit crowded. I'm gonna extend this panel, and I'm gonna make a new viewport, press 0, and now it's in camera mode. If I go like this, just to kind of like try and, you know, get a preview of the angle. So now let's get started again. Okay, so this is nice, but it doesn't really look like hair, right? So let's just fix this right now. So you need to add a geometry nodes. Look for hair to curve to hair, sorry, curve to hair shape, and I usually go with fringe because that's like, I don't know, that's my favorite ones. Okay, so it started zoomed here because those are things you might want to change if you're doing curls, which in my case I very much might. So we'll get back to that. Also, I noticed that my pony is a bit lighter than I wanted, so let me darken a bit. Because sometimes even when you color pick, it's not, you know, depending on your lighting, it might affect the appearance of your colors, so keep that in mind. I copy it back to the wing arm also, because they're supposed to match. I have this. First step when you create a hair is you copy this and then you press this to make it a unique, you know, because if you change stuff inside here, like those curves, for example, it's going to change it for everything that this node belonged to. So by clicking this, it now belongs to this hair. It's just a technicality. I'm going to call it Friday Fringe. All right. So rest scalp, that one's easy. Type rest scalp rest geo. That's the one you should use for the pony. Resample, yes. I'll put it to a number I know is usually fine. Adaptive resampling, I'm gonna give it a random value that I have had success with in the past. Okay, so that's cool. Now, just to go back over the logic, usually you assign the shape node and then you assign the render node, because sandwich in between them is going to be the modifier that lets you rig it. That's a bit of a technicality, but you'll see what I mean later. To hair render fringe. There you are. Don't worry if it looks weird. That's normal because we have to set a few things here. Just do that, and the name is Friday Fringe and scalp geo. See, now it's fine. It snapped back. Not a lot of hair, you might notice. That's just one hair. That's because you need to put up these numbers. Let's put 100. Okay, cool. You know, that's something. It's white because you haven't given it a material. In my case, I'm gonna edit a copy of the hair. So what I'm gonna do, new, I look for hair, and I click this, and now it's a unique, and I'm gonna call it Friday hair. There you go. Let's see. Yeah, so this is all, I don't need to keep any of this really, but yeah, you'll see. So now I can go back into this and I select Friday hair. See, immediately there's colors. Okay, so all cool, all good. It looks really bad, right? Let's just say this doesn't look much like this. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna do something more. There you go. Can I just hide the gizmos? Okay, these options are to just clear up your view, by the way. So, let's do it. don't be scared if it looks bad, you know, when you start, because it takes time to get where you want to be. Um, let's see. Okay, so she has very big hair, but not that big. So let's tell this one to calm down. Let's move this closer. It's gonna take a while. I mean, that's cool. That's cool. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and preemptively change the clump curves to change a bit like the way it behaves. Already I think that's a bit better. Clump size, you can always change that value also if you feel like it's a bit sparse. Okay, so that's a start. Now I press L to select the entirety of the hair. I press Shift E and I just copied it. Now why would I do that? It's because real hair is usually a bit more layered. So let me just do that. Yeah, sure. Do I feel like I should have more of a... So it should have more. Some of them should be shorter, I think, yeah. Keep in mind, I chose a very hard hairstyle to try to emulate, so this might not go too well. Alright, so now you might have seen I made the hair thicker just so I could see better while, sculpting the whole thing. This is very messy, very chaotic, but I think, that's fine. I think I like it. I might need to be mindful of stuff like this, where you see it's going through the cheek. So that's usually fairly, fixable. I just need to take decisions on how to solve this. All right. Yeah, I think that's acceptable for now. Okay. A value I found that's really good for the thickness is 0.004. I think it's one more zero. Yeah, 3 0 and a 4. It gives you this wispy look, which right now might look a little sparse. Like, you can see through it, which means that, this is for performance. This is for like looking in the viewport. But for rendering, maybe you want to go to something like 250, 300, Actually, let's go double 300. My PC can take it. I took some creative liberties. Like here, you see there's a little spike. I feel maybe if I spent more time on this, because this is mostly an example. I'm going a little bit fast. Uh, yeah, for now, I think this is representative of the concept. I don't need to be one-to-one with this hair preset from Ponytown, right? This is my own character after all. I can do whatever I want. But I like the little, bit, the little clump here, so I added that. It's not one-to-one. I'm not trying to copy exactly what I got. You might have noticed I've done the fringe. I would have to do the tail and the mane, but for the sake of this example not taking too long, I'm probably not going to do that, on camera. But what we might want to do together is painting the body. So, okay, before I do that, let's just change the color of the hair so it matches a little bit more what we have here. And I think this is something a lot of people kind of want to understand. I've seen some of y'all asking about how to do hair strands. What you want to do first. Okay, first, there's a bunch of stuff here that I don't need. I want to be in control, so Control X. Okay, actually, this is a good idea to explain what these do, right? So UV is a vector. When you put it in here, you see a kind of yellow color. That's because it's the X, Y, and Z, technically, coordinates of your UV, which is a concept that might be a bit hard to explain in this video, but it's like the 2D mapping of the colors on the scalp. Factor, this one's cool if I put it here. This is a good way to visualize what the factor is. It's a value from 0 to 1. So black to white along the entire length of the hair. The root X, that one's cool too. Oh, yeah, it's a bit hard to visualize actually. If I go in here and trim the hair, fair warning, it's gonna look very stupid for a sec. Yeah, now you can see it a bit better. It's from black to white, so left to right is 0 to 1. This is X, the X position, left to right on the UV, so on the head, right? So that's what that does, and there's technically a root Y if I type it. Yeah, you see it's black in the front, white in the back. So if you want like to have these directional gradients, that's what those values are here for. Let me put it back to X because I tend to find that's a more useful value. Clump ID, that one I don't think is going to be very useful for anyone here. Yeah, it's a bit hard to explain. It's basically it's the like the ID number of each individual hair. So actually, if I put like, yeah, no, it would be a bit too long to explain on camera, so just trust me, it's useful. Okay, so hey, now color. Let's analyze what we got here. So there's these stripes that I think might need to be painted. I know I said, oh, I have, well, okay, let's try with the root X and let's see what we can do with that, all right? So the root X, let's plug that into a color ramp. Yeah, color ramp. And let's see if we can do something with it. Also, let's untrim the hair. Okay. Let's see if we can do something. I doubt it, but you know, let's try. So you have this to this. Yeah, it's a bit too chaotic because I made the hair intertwine in such a way that it's not going to be very practical. I don't think I'm going to have enough control to do this. So it needs to be painted, which, yeah, now that I think about it, it might be a bit annoying. Maybe if I use the root Y. You know, this might be a bit more wieldy. Let's try it like this. Sorry. I'm not sold on this. I am not sold on this. Yeah, not very wieldy indeed. Well, see, that's where in the planning I should have properly layered the hair. So, all right, let's try painting. Maybe it's gonna be less painful than I think it would. So let's move these here for now. I'm gonna need the UV. Let's create an image texture. And let's look for custom hair texture. You don't have to use that one. It's just that, you know, I found it useful. Actually, yeah, I'm gonna create a copy of it. I'm gonna call it Friday hair txt for texture, and UV is a vector, so it goes in vector. And yeah, right now it's black because the texture is black. So if I go, I mean, I can do it blind actually if I wanted. Let's try it. Let's create a different one. I know it's paint, and now it's custom hair texture. Okay, so it's black on black, and if I go in, yeah, I kind of want a color. It's here. Okay. So let's start. Okay, let's make everything purple. Yeah, everything purple. So press F to change the value, you know, the size of your brush. Just paint everything purple. Right. I'm on the wrong texture. You need Friday. Oops, not forest. Friday. Okay, now that I'm on it. Ta-da! It's purple. Now let's try to layer it, and let's hope. Let's pray together that I can figure this out. Okay, so that's going to be a bit tougher. Let's go in texture paint. Okay, texture paint can be a bit disorienting. So, okay, go here, you have your texture. Here, go in. Okay, so this one is special. This is something that I think might be really useful to know. To paint the color on the hair, you need to paint the scalp, not the body, not the hair. So to do this, you go in hair geo, here, scalp geo. And there's this stupid thing here, deleted. There you go. Right, so yeah, I need to improve this. Just hide all of these. These are the original hair. It's inside particle. When you select the scalp geo, just, you know, hide all of these. You don't need them. Okay, so now that we are here, you have the scalp geo. Another thing, you need to go in viewport display, show emitter. Okay, so now you have this thing here. Now if you go in tool property, it should be there. You go in texture paint mode, and now you need to select the Friday hair texture. Okay, so Now what's cool is you have the UVs. This is like the forehead slash top of the head. You can see how it's shaped. So you want to paint on this, and it's going to affect the color. So let's try it real quick. Let's press dot on my numpad, and let's see. So I do want a reference though. So let's see if I can have a Friday somewhere. Where is she? There she is. Can I do this? Yes. Okay. Let's see. Okay, good. See, it's like coloring the hair, but it's wrong. That's not the hair I want to be this color. It's more these hair then. Aha. Okay, I'll go back in object mode, select the hair, and change the thickness again, because I think I need to see a bit better what I'm doing. Okay, maybe not that thick. Oops. Okay. 0.005. Yeah, that's good enough. Now click the scalp again. It's a bit hard to click. Go back in texture paint. There it is. Okay, so yeah, funny enough, I'm gonna need even more windows. Oops, not you. You. Okay, so I need this. Yeah, like this. And I need, no, not that. I need another viewport in camera mode so I can see what I'm doing. Boop, boop, boop. Please, okay. Okay, so from what I understand, the hair that's like here is like the hair that I made start around the right side. So, okay, that's cool. That's cool. It gives a little bit of flair. And now let's try to paint this color, although if you remember, I find it not saturated enough. So these hair at the top, if you follow to their roots, they're in the back. So let's do that. Yeah, see, we're getting somewhere. Okay, what about these? Okay, because I know what I'm doing, this is like actually, if I do this, you can understand, like, this is what we're painting. Like, this ear is this ear, this ear is this ear, you know, this hole. That's the forehead, that's the nape, right? So if I paint here, I think I can, yeah, get a bit of a grasp on what I'm doing. This is very bad. This is not what I wanted at all. So I'm gonna need to be a bit more intentional with my strokes here. Okay, if you press X, by the way, you can switch to the secondary color. In my case, I'm gonna switch to this. So now let's see. Yeah. Okay, so that's interesting. There's something I can do about this. If I go back to geometry nodes, I can select these hair and, you know, like, just force it to be a bit more what I want, right? If I press, oops, see, that's not ideal, because now it's inside her cheek. Aha. So what you want is to move it like here, sort of behind her cheek. Okay. Another trick though, if I control Z 2 times and I bring that to her cheek, another thing you can do is Alt S. This will like scale the specific clump you're at. Then I can, like, you know, move it more here, move it back and forth, you know, try stuff. Maybe if I can press Control Plus, I can select the next point. Sometimes I do that instead of guessing. Okay, this is a bit silly. Let's try like that. Alt S to try and force the hair to be a bit thinner. Okay. And like I said, there's like this back and forth. Oh, and if you want to reset it, I don't really know the shortcut, I just press N, and then in item you have radius, put it back to 1. That's like the full radius. Okay, I'll worry about this later. For now, I'm just gonna try and get the colors right. So this one, which one is it? It's this one, right? Nope. Okay, this one, I think. Yeah. So this one, oops. I mean, do we want this one to be colored like so? Yeah, I guess we do. So which hair is this? If I press Control Plus, I can get to the root. Okay. So this guy is like smack dab in the forehead. Okay, so if I press Tab, then press select the scalp, and go back to Paint, Texture Paint. There it is. I can probably, now let's hope, if I select the color I want, actually, this guy, I can probably try to like sneak it in. I think it's like here. Aha. There, I got it. Okay, that's a bit closer to what we want. Sorry, I'm like really guessing here. So, I'm gonna alternate a bit, because I think I caught some hair here that I didn't want to touch. There you go. Okay, so this area here is fine, but these, it's getting difficult. Interesting. Aha. Okay, so these hair, and then this section. Okay, maybe this. Okay, this is closer to what we want. Clearly though, I need some of this here. Yes. Aha. Okay, we're getting somewhere. We're getting somewhere. Because this, I just need to fix the intersection myself. Go back in here. Select this, press Tab. Actually, now I want to visualize the actual colors, so let me just material, and then I go back like this. I imagine it's this one. Yes. Deselect. Aha. And then Control Plus, deselect what I don't want, bring it forward. See, that works. Yeah. Aha. That's closer to what we want, but I admit it's a bit not what we want. How do I do this? Okay, first, don't forget to save, Texture Paint, and okay, go back on the scalp, and what I want is more of that pink like here, right? Yeah, more like that. It's very finicky. What I want is to paint this, so let me go in Texture Paint. Yeah, these I don't want to be affected by that color, if I can. Aha! Yeah, that's like perfect, I think. Oops. I don't want to contaminate the colors. Okay, this is something. Now, these in the back are more around here, right? Right. Yeah. Now it gives this kind of like effect similar to our reference. If I go back here, right? So this, and now on top I need the orange. So now let's get back to the orange. Let's do that. So the orange needs to be on this guy here. There. Okay. and these, which are here. Okay, it's not exactly like my reference, but it's pretty nice. Well, okay, it's not nice yet, but it's getting there, right? So what I need is click this. Okay, maybe do that. Aha, we're getting there, we're getting there. Oh, and I didn't even get the yellow yet. There's a bit of this guessing game, right? Also, depending on how you molded things together, it might be a bit wonky. I like this interlocking a bit more than the pure layering, so maybe that can get somewhere that we want. Aha, so this little part here, this guy needs to be orange as well, if I can. There you go. So it's like these. There you go. By doing this, I make sure that it picks up the correct color. Okay, that's as close as we got so far, so I'm gonna save. Oh, and of course, please understand you know, your image isn't saved yet. I think you have to press save. Actually, yeah, image. Yeah, I think you have to save it. But okay, this is just me. I don't like saving it like this by pressing this button. What I do usually, I wait till I just close the software and it's gonna prompt me by saying, hey, your texture is not saved yet. And then you say, yes, save it. And it's gonna save it inside your file instead of an external image. That's why I like to do it like this. I don't know yet how to save it internally. Right. Not sure, not sure. But oh well. Now I notice there's kind of this line here I'm not a fan of. It's a bit hard to see. So I'm gonna go back here and change the thickness, or maybe change it to like this. So it's like these guys, I think. Okay. Maybe if I go back to a thickness of like this. Maybe I can follow their roots. Aha, they're here. So if I go in texture paint, select the scalp, texture paint, and go back like this. Yeah, I'm on orange, so paint very delicately. I don't want to catch hair that I don't want. All right. That's getting somewhere. Let's go back. I know I'm annoying. Let's put the thickness back to our utility thickness like this so we can see what we're doing. Oops, there's still some some stray hair, which I'm not exactly, that opposed to having like some stray, mix in there. So should I leave it? For the sake of this example, I'll leave it because I think I'm just going to be fighting it for hours otherwise. Let's try to add the yellow. So if I go in texture paint again and select the scalp, texture paint, all right. Oops, this is annoying. Every time it resets the image in the corner and I want this reference. I think I have to pin it, that's why. Okay, well, maybe that's it. We'll see. Okay, so let's get to the yellow. Again, not sure if that's the color we want, but let's see for now. Okay, so it should be the colors at the edge. So I'll change my brush to be smaller and let's see if that does it. Right? It's trying. Maybe these. Ooh, that was a good guess. That was a very good guess. Okay, are we satisfied with this? I mean, it's not perfect. Maybe if I can catch a few more hair in there, like these guys. Yeah, it's getting somewhere, but what are these ones, coming from? I'm not sure. It's probably like this. but then I start contaminating these. By the way, the reason this is happening is because, you know, there's overlap, you know, like if you haven't noticed, the hair is going through itself, which is hard to avoid when you're dealing with like such a thick density. Uh, really wish I could paint the hair directly, but we're not at that level of technology yet. So yeah, let's keep guessing, right? So it's purple, so it must be one of these. Right, so it's around here. Aha. Not bad. You know, I'll live. I think that's fine. Like this is a bit annoying, but I think I'll live. All right. So now that we're here, let's go back to geometry nodes. Select it, put it back to the default. One trick, I think, yeah. If you press, you hover over the value and press backspace, it's going to set back to the default. I find this value is my favorite. The hair density is not that thick yet. Oh, and one thing you don't want to forget is the scalp. You know, that little thing, just hide it. It's not going to render anyway, so yeah, just hide it for now. Okay, so we got something. Now that you've seen how painting the scalp works, that's a bit how it works for the body, right? So let's try something. To paint the body, that's gonna get messy real quick, so let's get to it. Like I said, future iteration of the pony will probably have a built-in method of doing this. But for now, please use this as reference for how to paint a custom texture on the body, all right? So first off, make sure you are in object mode, select the body, and one thing I like to do is press numpad dot. It's gonna like hone in on what you have selected. In your case, it's possible you have been working with, with the low, sorry, I have a bunch of clutter. Yeah, with this body, right, the low poly version. They look very similar, and honestly, they have very close matching UVs. So if you paint on the low poly, it will, very likely translate to the high poly. But for most cases, I personally prefer painting straight up on the body geo, which is the high resolution, the poly, the high poly count skin, because this is the skin you're gonna see at render time. If anything, for now, the low geo is better for animation, but for like rendering, previews, it's better to use the body geo. So yeah, let's start with these little things, right? The little teardrops, pink teardrops. I think they're really cute. Good job on Ponytown for providing such interesting pattern choices. So let's see. First off, you don't want to be on cutie mark skin. That's why I was confused what I was looking for. So you go on pony skin, which is the default color for most of your pony. Cutie mark skin is, the best way to explain it is to show it. If I select, these parts use this material. And if I deselect, everything else uses this material. The reason for this is because of that's the best way I found to have the overlaid cutie mark, not affect the rest of the body. So yeah, it's a bit weird to explain, but yeah, that's how I did it. So if you want a color, first off, I need to explain what is inside the network. So you have pony skin. Good news, you don't need to go inside. All you need is these things here. So this, the skin color has a little purple outline. This means that it's looking at this color. So to prove it, if I do this, you see it's changing here too, because it is looking for this value in the UI. But if you want to put a texture, let me test it actually. If I put an image texture, does it override it? Yes, okay. So you don't need to do anything, just plug your texture, and if you don't want it, it goes back to reading this. Yes, good. Okay, so you put an image texture in vector. If, by the way, cool trick to go faster, if you're not familiar with the nodes in Blender, just click it, drag it, let go, and now it has this menu where you can search for something. In our case, we want a UV map there. So it's going to use one of the multiple UVs that can be found here in the data tab on the body. There's different UVs: body UV, CM UV, scale UV. Body UV is the one you should use because that's the one that's also on the low poly geo. So make sure to use it. By default, just so you understand, by default it's using whichever has this icon open, but I like to be a bit more intentional with my choices, so I select the body UV. Now to explain the UVs, a lot of people don't really seem to like the default UVs. Oops, that's not what I wanted. So let me explain. Uh, right, so these lines you can see, like there's a giant, lopsided face. There's a tiny thing here, and there's a bunch of things here floating in what seems like an empty space, right? These are tiles. So technically, if you were to like observe, there's technically like 1, 2, 3. Like there's 3 squares. These are tiles. The point of making tiles is to have see, you can have different images, different textures that count as the same texture. They're tiled together, right? They count together as like one unit, but they're tiles. The reason I've made this is because I wanted to have the face as large as possible to allow your texture to give it more detail, more fine detail. Like because I feel the face is a part of the body we tend to look at the most. And meanwhile, the body is fairly small because you will generally give it pretty large, large details that don't need to be super precise. Um, I understand why some people don't like it. That's why I also made scale UV. So if you click it, this one, everything is inside one tile. Like everything is scaled to the relative size that they are in reality, in here. Um, so, the face is as big as it is in regards to the torso than it is in the scene. That's the purpose of these. Um, This is currently this UV exists for I am using this UV for the fur generation. That's why I created it. It wasn't meant to be used for texture painting. I know some users have taken a liking to using it for texture painting, so just be aware for now, this texture is not this UV map, because that's what these are, they're UV maps. Scale UV is not reflected on the fur geometry and the low poly geometry. So if you were to render, it wouldn't work. Like the fur on the body would not have the same color as the body itself, because this UV map doesn't exist on the fur. At least that's what I remember. I'll need to go back. Maybe there's a way I can transfer this data, but for now, try to use body UV, okay? Just bear with me. Eventually, I'll, unify everything, okay? But in my case, it's lucky. I want to do some fine detail on the face, so body UV it is. And some people don't know that the reason I have multiple UVs is that you can also like mix and match them, right? Like here, for example, I use scale UV for a noise texture that won't be needed on the hair anyway, so who cares? Okay, so that was a long-winded way to talk about this. Now we want to create a texture. So I press new. I'm gonna call it Friday body. The size, that's a good question. How big should it be? I'll go with 2048 because I'm gonna make a pretty detailed face. By the way, press tile. This is gonna give you a head start. Alpha means do you want to have transparency in your image? In my case, I might it doesn't hurt to have it, so I just leave it there. You don't need to worry about these. I mean, these are presets, but you don't need to worry if you're going to paint it yourself. Color, it's going to start black, but that's fine for me. I press OK, and it's white. Good question. Okay, yes, because it was recalculating. So, okay, yeah, that's a good way to see it. What is black is where the tile, actually, if I look at Friday body and I select, see how only the face is in the black area. So if you look at it, only the face is black. Pink here means that it has no texture. It doesn't know what to do. So that's a good way to visualize what tiles do. Now you might be wondering, like, what do you do with this? Okay, so if you go on the image tab, by the way, I press N to open the menu. So if you go on the image tab here, UDIM tiles is a funky name, but it's essentially to add more of these like squares in a row. So yeah, number means like from left to right which column. So when you do that, you can select which size you want. In our case, well, it's good to question ourselves, what are we going to do? The face is going to have these intricate, pink teardrop patterns and maybe some eyeshadow. Meanwhile, the body is only going to get like a very smooth gradient, so we don't need as much resolution as the upper part. Sorry, I was rambling for a bit. All I mean to do is, so each tile can have a different size. That's like a wonderful thing about them. Since I'm going to paint a gradient, yeah, okay, so I will need some resolution here, but not as much as the face. Okay, so each tiles can have a different size. So the first one is 2048 by 2048. The next one, I'm going to create two, should be 1024, which is half of 2048. Create them. So now you have them at different sizes, which is fine by me. It saves on space and computing time. That's what I like about tiles. If you have a tile that needs less resolution, just give it less resolution. It saves on memory. It's really cool. These things, though, tile textures cannot be saved inside your blend file. You have to save them in your disk, on your computer. So for that, I will probably have to save. So I'm gonna save it, and now it asks me where do I want to save it. So I'm gonna go in texture, and I'll probably create a folder actually. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna go in asset, and here you see I have other characters I've started working on. I'm gonna make a new folder and call it Friday. Go in there, and now Friday body is the name of the texture, and UDIM, you don't need to change that. It's gonna rename this number to whichever tile it is, so that Blender understand what it is trying to look for. Do we need you know what? We don't need alpha. This is going to save us some time. Compression, I like to put it at 100. It means it saves slower, but it saves more space on disk. That's what I like to do. So save. Okay, so now there's a path here. This is where on disk it's saved. Okay, so that was a very long-winded way to talk about this. Now let's hide the hair because we're going to get serious. So it's painting time. We go in texture paint. I go here. And okay, maybe I want to get the Friday body. There you go. So we have all these guys, and you can paint here or here, right? So that's really cool. So first off, I'm gonna pick this color, this hard magenta, and let's try to see. Oops. Well, okay, interesting thing. I think I'm not painting on the correct layer. Yeah, I'm still painting on the hair, which is not what we want. So I'm gonna Control Z. Okay. Let's see. So always go in the tool option and find, the correct texture. So I have the color selected, and yeah, see? Ah, right. Control Z. I think I have the mirror on. Yes. Turn off the mirror because I think it's on by default because I was painting symmetrical textures. For this, we kind of want to freehand. So yeah, see how pixely it is, and that's a 2048 pixel large, texture. But at a distance, it's gonna look completely fine. Okay, now that's why rotating your camera might be useful, because here it looks fine, but yeah, it's a bit wonky here. So let's go back. Maybe I want to paint from this side so that it's actually, going down. Yeah, that's going to be a bit of a difficult thing to adapt from this. There you go. Yeah, a bit better. We want to make it look like it dripped a bit, right? Like that. And like that. Right? Well, I'm a fool because I forgot to fill the color. See? At least it was a good attempt to kind of get used to it, but I'm sure I can do better the next time around. So, right, this might be a bit funky, but trust the process. I'm gonna copy from the menu here. And yes, this might be a bit funny to explain, but first of all, I'm gonna need to refill in the base color into that texture because it's overriding the color. So I don't want her to be, all black. But is it possible to overlay this on top of the other color? Yes, but it involves a bit more of an explanation that I don't feel like doing right now. So, just trust me. Let's just, manually fill in the color. Oops. Okay, I can't go bigger than that. All right. There we go. Ta-da, she's back. Sorry about that. Forgot that that needed to be done. Let's redo this real quick. My bad, y'all. Press N, press T, because we don't need any of this. Okay, let's get back to it. So, yeah, boy. That's nice. So how's it look from the side? It's fine. I mean, it's not perfect, but it's fine. Let's do this. Yeah, there we go. Not my favorite. I admit, like it's cool, but it's not big enough. I'll make them bigger. I think I need more, something that you're gonna see from afar, like something that pops. Oh, and be mindful when you're painting like this, it might be better to go back into this mode because every time you paint, you update the shader and your graphic card is recomputing everything. So yeah, maybe go in solid mode while you're painting. Because I don't think the capture picked it up, but I think it was my graphics card fan was starting. So yeah, just paint like that, and then, oops, I'm gonna make a big teardrop like this. Yeah, that's nice. And now a longer one. Yep. And a small but larger one. There you go. Let's see what it looks like. Yeah, that's cooler, I find. It carries the purpose better. I want to paint a bit further into the eyelid. Yeah, that's cool. It's cool, but it's not necessarily like giving an amazing shape from different angles. So let me keep doing this. Yeah, it's finicky. It's finicky. All right. Oops, not that. X. Okay, so let's. By the way, I'm not erasing. I'm painting the base color. So then you kind of want to like, yeah, have it like that a bit. Maybe push it in. Yeah, like this. Push it back out. And at that point, that's just, an art tutorial. So you just kind of want to go and, do your thing. And you're not, not everyone likes to paint in Blender. I find it nice because, you're able to paint directly on the model. There's other software out there like ZBrush, if you have it, that might be better for this. But at that point, you might need to be a bit more of an experienced user to understand, how textures work and how to import, export, so that's up to you. But okay, let's call this side done, even if it's not like, it's not necessarily what I'm going to keep for final. Let's go with that for now. Next, let's do that one. I'll try to be a bit quicker, or I'll just speed up the video. Okay, let's leave it at that for now. I can always go back, make it better. For example, if you feel like you don't like this angle, you can always, just actually, let's do it now together. Let's make this teardrop more curved so that it looks like it's following, the shape of the muzzle. Like that. Paint like this. And now from here, yeah, see, it's more 3D. Same for this one. It looks like it's being swept to the side, which is, a bit like, it's not wrong, but it's not necessarily nice. I think artistic intent sometimes is about doing things that force an explanation, right? So if you draw something and you say, oh, it's fine, it just looks like that, that's fine, but it's not a satisfying answer. If someone looks at your drawing and says, oh, I understand the logic behind it, that usually feels better on an appreciation, scale. Yeah, see, that one is a bit more like that. Okay, I'll let it be for now. I think it's the 7th time I said it, but it's true. At some point you have to let go. All right. Really cool, really cool. Don't forget to save. Next up, I'm gonna do the gradient on the paws. The legs. Sorry, it's not really a paw, is it? It's a more muted color. This one, I think I can get away by painting on the texture a bit. Let's see. Oops, not like that. Yeah, see? So I'm gonna do that, and you'll see why. Oh wow, how lucky. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna switch to this mode. Yeah, that's better. Okay, so I'm just gonna like drop like a rough, like... Oh, and here I want to be symmetrical, and you'll see why. Ooh, okay, that's a bit difficult. Okay. Switch back. Gonna push it down a bit, not that heavily though, hopefully. Yeah, you really gotta rotate around your model for this. Okay. Oof. I'm fighting for my life here. It's really hard. Okay, that's good enough. It doesn't need to be perfect. The idea is just that I want to then smooth everything. So there's the soften tool, which does exactly what you imagine it does. Also, a cool little thing you can notice here. Actually, yeah, let me just spill the colors a bit further for people that know about printing. It's if we're gonna, you know, blur everything, we should try to have more of the color past the canvas, which in this case is the model. Because when you paint from your view, you know, there's like corners you don't see, and it might be a bit annoying. Yeah, see, like the under parts were not properly painted. Yeah, see, this is here. So when I do that, it's gone. Right, let me turn off this. Actually, no, let me not turn it off because I want it to be even everywhere. So, let's blur it. Ooh, yeah, that's really slow. So you might feel your computer slow down a bit, and that's normal. The bigger your brush, the slower it's going to get because it's averaging the colors at a longer distance. Ooh, that's heavy. Yep. But yeah, you want to like blur from as many angles. Here I'm trying to do a gradient, by the way, so that's why we're blurring a first like layer, and we'll go further, don't worry. Okay. Oh, the blur is not great. It's not my favorite, but it'll do. I'll live. Okay, so I want a much more gradual, you know, fall off. So I'm not sure how I could do that. Maybe if I did it here, it would be better. Let's see. Oh yeah. Yep, my blender froze. That's how you know it maybe it was a bit heavy-handed, but we'll see. Okay. Well, it did do what I wanted. See, it's a lot more gradual. Yeah, this is not ideal. So, well, we have to embrace that maybe not all the legs are going to be symmetrical here. So, all right, let's do this. Actually, before we do this, I think we need to bleed the colors a bit more around the edges. Because we're about to blur, and when you blur, it's going to sample the colors at the edges, and that can be a bit annoying. I think my blender is reaching its limit. Okay, so let's do it. Ooh, that's slow. Okay, I might skip this part. Alright, so I've directly blurred on the texture, and now you can notice some artifacting, which is caused by the overlap between this and this. That's an easy fix. Just go back in brush mode, select the background color, and just paint over it. Honestly, that's all you need to do. See, it's gone. Okay, so now we have a nice little gradient like that, which we can see here. Very cute, very cool. I'll call this done for the paint. Oh, actually, no, never mind. There is still the eyeshadow. That one might be hard to paint on while she has her eyes open. So if I go back, okay, if you save, never forget to save. I'll go back in layout. I'll go into Pony Ray. Go back to item, eyelid. There we are. Check it open. Grab both of them. It's like the arrow that points down, and drag them close. There you go. Now I can exit this, go back to texture paint, and now you can paint on the eyelid. That's really cool. So, texture paint, make sure we're still on Friday body. Okay, so now, what color is it? Let's try this. Yeah, I'll live. Maybe it should be a bit darker, actually. Saturated. Yeah, that's a bit more, the effect we want. This is touchy. Where is it painting it actually? That might be helpful to know. Ah, yeah. So, you know, I don't really want to paint like and accidentally touch, you know, the lower eyelid. So what I'm gonna do is literally just this. Make sure I don't have, yeah, this open. I don't know. I don't know what is the expected behavior for symmetry when painting UVs directly on the UV. So I'll just like that, and there you go. Now for the other one, let's just go like this. This is just to make sure that like the edges are painted. There you go. Nice. Okay. So now we have this. It's a bit jagged, so let me just, you know, do some cleanup. Another tool you might want to use actually, if you are in tool and you go in stroke, I think there's stabilize stroke. If you turn it on, there's a bunch of stuff to see here, but oops, what I want is select this color. When you drag, see there's like a line behind you. That's like to make a more like stable stroke, you know. It's really cool for that. In this case, maybe I want to fill more of the color. Yeah, okay. It's a bit difficult. See, that's why I found it really important to give more resolution to the face. And yeah, we're done with this part. And if you want sheen, I think I said it, like we can come back to that, don't worry, there's ways. Okay, so let's go back to object mode. Then we can even go back here and reopen the eyelids. So grab them, Alt-G to undo this. Now we can go back to hiding the pony armature if I go here. And she's pretty much done. She's coming along. Pretty cool, pretty cool. Now, let's see what we can do about the sheen, like I said. So here you have your texture. Let's see, is there a concise way to do this? Let's try it. If I make a color ramp, put it in the skin, it's going to be black and white. All right. Now if I do this and do that, that's cool, but that's not exactly what I want. It's more like this, right? Oh, that's really cool. Haha. There. I've roughly isolated where the these are. Oops. I'll do this. Okay, so this is the you know, the eyeshadow. So now what I can do is probably it's probably gonna be a bit hard actually, because there's not really a good way to do this. Okay, I'll be real, this is a bit advanced. I can come back to this later. There's ways to do it, but I think it's just going to confuse everyone. So for now I'm going to save, and we're not done at all. Like, we're not moving on from the texture yet because we need to do a bit more. So select your texture, press Ctrl C, and now, okay, so let me explain. The body has it, the cutie mark doesn't need it, I don't think. Does it? Actually, yes, it needs it. Okay, so let's see here. Yes. So this is the color. Okay, so the color of the skin here on the cutie mark skin is decided by this here. So what you need to do, just to explain my shortcut, shift right click drag, Do this. Now Control V to paste your texture and plug it here. There. It's literally, you're done with that one. It's going to calculate for a bit. Okay, and you're done. That's cool. Everything still works. If I put the Q mark back, where is it? Still works. If you did this wrong, you wouldn't be able to see the Q mark. That's why I'm putting it on. Okay, so that's that. But next, you need to go up into actually, let me do the whole process. So right now you're probably in like not here. You're probably here in Geo. Go in hair Geo, and that's if you use hair. If you don't use hair, you can skip this part. What you want is find the body hair Geo. That's the first one you want to find. So it has three other material that you need to do roughly the same step. So you Control V, your your node, drag it into fur color on pony hair. Do the same step for all of them. Essentially, that's all you're doing. It's tedious, it's a bit silly, but that's why I'm gonna need to automate that later. For that one, I think you don't need to do anything because it doesn't need it. So cutie mark hair doesn't need it. That's cool. Now, let's see if we are indeed done. Let's do a render. So just so we go a bit faster, I'm going to go like 720p. Render image. Let's see. Might take a sec. My computer is pretty good, so I'm not too worried, but keep in mind, depending on what your computer is, you are generating a few million strands of hair, and computing each of their individual colors, their reflections, that it's a bit heavy. So, yeah, good. Okay, see, that's why it's important to test. So the color worked for the most part. These hair, I think, like the fetlock, they're not catching the color properly. I think there's a good reason for that, but yeah, let's check. All right, let's debug real quick. I think it's because these hide. Aha, this one. Yeah, that's the one. So if I go in here, let's see. Usually I apply the material at the end. It's cutie mark body hair, which is probably on this one. Cutie mark body hair. Okay, so let's see how it looks like. Yeah, okay, that's what I feared. It has our texture, but there's something wrong with the UVs. Oh, that's annoying. Their UVs are wrong, or not. Yeah, body UV is correct. Okay, I fixed it. I'll add, like I said, I'll add it back to the to the update in a patch. Sorry, but yeah, it was just a case of misnamed attributes. Nothing too serious. So now, if I close this back up, I save and I render. Let's see how it goes. Yes, much better. Now you see your texture work in the fetlock. And yeah, now you would think that we're done, but in case you forgot, this pony is meant to be animated. So there's one extra step, aside from, of course, doing the tail, doing the back of the head. So to do this, I think, yeah, yeah, we are in the right place, so good news. So, like I said earlier, actually, before we do this, we should probably do a bit more geometry notes. Right now, there's almost 1,000,000 points in this hair. Very, very heavy. So let's see. Yeah, 1.2 million. And when I turn on the adaptive resampling, you don't see the difference and you shave off 200,000 points. That's why this tool is so good. If you put it lower, it does an even better job, but it might start changing the look a bit. Actually, it doesn't. Yeah, I'll leave it at that. It roughly shaves half of the total point count. That's really cool. Um, let's see, anything else I need to do about this? I think that's acceptable for me, right? Maybe if your computer is a bit rougher, you might need more. Now, for just to explain, these are the curves. Sorry, let me hide this. These are the curves you're going to be rigging. Well, you're not rigging them individually, but like that's what's going to be, computed. So to do this, first, select your collection, create a plane, go in edit mode, so and everything is automatically, selected. I press delete vertices, and now you technically have this empty geometry. It has nothing, no vertex, nothing. That's desirable. Oh, right, we should probably rename our hair. So let's call it Friday Fringe Curves. Now, because of how Blender works, I like to, do some clean housekeeping and name the curve and the object it's inside of, the same thing, so I know later what is what. And for these, I'm just going to paste, but instead of curve, I'm going to call it geo. Now I copy this name and do the same thing, rename the data. Okay, I save. And this one is pretty easy. Create a geometry node, hair to mesh proxy, press enter, select your hair. Ta-da! All right, and here's a very important nuance. Okay, let me explain. So, two things. One, when your hair is activated like this, it's going to change the shape of this geo. So let me show you. Actually, it doesn't. Yeah, it does. Okay, it's just really slow. So before creating this geo, please turn off the render node, because what you're rigging is these curves, not all the hundreds of other curves. All right, it's just to have a more accurate shape around the curves that are going to be rigged. All right. If you find that your geometry, if you turn on wireframe and you think this is too low poly, you can change the voxel count, the voxel amount for a more like precise, precise like shape around your hair. So that's one thing to keep in mind. The other thing I wanted to touch on is you see how there's like this strand going here and these going there. If you were to rig it and like put a bone, that kind of goes up and others that go down, you don't really want your mesh to look like this because it's going to be hard to animate. So you would want to separate these curves into different objects entirely. Yeah, and then rig them separately. So yeah, sorry about that. I forgot to explain that earlier. But because this is an example and I really can't be bothered, I'll just keep it all like this. So when you're satisfied, you click the little arrow to the right of geometry nodes and you press apply. Now this is a real geometry that exists. It has 3.1K vertices. That's fine. Honestly, modern computers can take it. So normally, well, okay, I'll do it since this is an example and I want to be very thorough. So create an armature. Don't worry, if you want to be lazy, you don't have to do all this, all right? But I'm going to be thorough, like I said. So I'm going to call this Friday Hair Armature. All right, and rename the armature inside. Oops, there you go. So now that I have this, go in edit mode by pressing tab. Select the bone because you want to move it like that, not just the head. Select the bone. I like to put it like, here. Doesn't really matter actually, but I like to keep things a bit clean. So X at 0. Oops, this one too. There you go. No roll, all good. I'll scale it because it's a bit silly how that is. And now, yeah, snap it to the head, all good. This bone, I'm gonna call it RG root. For RG is my, personal way of naming things. It means rig. It means it's a utility bone. It doesn't do any, any actual like deformation. It's just here to, you know, exist. So you'll see why. So yeah, so that's the first bone. Then I'm gonna copy it and I'm gonna place one here, place its tail somewhere here, and now I'm gonna actually like do the hair rig. There you go. So now you have like kind of a simple rig, but cool. Oh, right, and I forgot you need to rename these. So I select all of them and I'm gonna call it BD for bind. It means like it's a bone that will deform your mesh. That's how I name it, actually. You don't have to name it like this, it's just how I organize things. I'm gonna call it fringe. And then I press Alt Enter. Well, that didn't work. Alt Enter. I think you can't rename all of them in one go. Okay, well, no matter. Just copy, paste, and it will automatically change the number because it sees that it already exists. So yeah, there you go. Now you have these. Now go back in edit mode, select that bone, Control P, keep offset. So now when we go in pose mode, these bones follow this bone. So why do we want that? Because this one, in pose mode, you have to be in pose mode. I'm going to give it a bone constraint in the bone constraint tab. It's called child of, yes, child of. And the target is pony armature. And the head, I know it by heart, but you might not, is RG head. Okay, and set inverse. Okay, so now when the head of the real pony is gonna move, this is gonna move with it. It's like attached to it, even though it's in a different armature. So now that's done. So the reason we did that is because, this one can move freely and this one just has D attached. I don't know, it's just cleaner. Technically this bone is not needed. You could have just put the constraint on this one, but that's just how I personally like to do things. Another thing I like to do is uncheck deform, and you'll see why. So now we can turn back up, go back in this mode, put transparency. Now go in object mode, select your mesh, shift select your armature, Control P, with automatic weights. Okay, let's see what it does. If I go back like this or something, pose mode. All right. See, it deforms it. It's not great. It's not my favorite, but it's gonna do. All right. If you wanted to have better weight deformation, you will have to rig, something. All right. So keep that in mind. So now that's done, make sure you press the disable in renders on this geometry, right? So otherwise this will show up in your render. It's going to be really funny. You can check disable in viewport because you really don't need it anymore. Now on your curves, you can turn that back on if you want. There's no risk. So on this geometry, create a mesh deform and slide it in between the shape node and the render node, between them, because it's going to influence these, and then on top of it, it's going to do all the operation that create your final hair. That's how it works. Okay, so now you're going to select the geo. And now, okay, let me explain this. Precision is, of course, the more you have, the finer control it's going to have. This is an example, and the higher number, the more like slow it is to calculate. So I'm gonna go up to tree. Tree tends to give some pretty bad results, but I mean, if it's a simple geometry, which this isn't, For a simple hairstyle, it would be fine, but all right, for the example, I'll just do that. Press bind, wait a few seconds, and now if, actually another thing you can do on your, hair armature, you can do two things. Okay, first go and you want to go Control Tab, select it, press H. Yeah, now it's gone. Okay, so the next thing you want to do is select your armature and go in the in the Object tab, with the orange icon, select Viewport Display in front. So now it's always in front. That's really useful when your bones are inside your hair. So now let's see if it works. Well, it kind of does. So that's a common issue. It fails to capture the tips. So two things we can try. One, put it back to 5 and hope. It's going to be a bit slower. Now let's see, does it work? Close, but nope, it doesn't. So let's put it back to 3 because we don't need that. So the reason that happens, actually, if I do this, the reason that happens is because sometimes it fails to capture the tips. If I do this or something, yeah, see, like the tips are really close. Like sometimes they're outside. So if the tip is outside the mesh, it's not going to capture it. So there's an easy way to fix that. What you want to do is add a displace modifier. Okay, well, actually, there's two things you can do. Either you put a displace modifier. I'll do that first because it's simple to explain. And now you're like, oh, that's crazy. Change the strength to like 0.1 or something. So now you can see what it does. It makes it thicker, all right? So you can do that, or you can literally just like, grab the face and, just kind of like pull it out, right? But this, you can end up doing this for a while and it might take time. So, just use this. So 0.1 might be strong. I'll go 0.05. Let's see. Okay, so it's thicker. Now I can hide it again, go back on this, bind. Let's see if that works. Okay, it does. Yay. So if I go back here, turn that back on, turn back the pretty colors. Let's hope. Yeah, it works. So yeah, now you have hair. It's a bit wonky, but you have hair, so that's cool. Yeah, I mean, it's really bad rig. You don't want that kind of behavior normally, all right? So please keep that in mind. But yeah, well, actually, I can show you now what I can do about this. This guy, if you go back in like edit mode, you can actually, okay, you can go in like the armature and like, if I go back, oops, if I show the armature, go back in pose mode, Alt H, you can re-enable the deform on this, because deform means like it's able to affect the deformation of the mesh. And what you can do is go back in solid view, go in transparency and select like the vertices around the head, like this a bit, right? Whoop, like that. And in here, create a new group, call it RG root, that's the name of that bone, and press assign. And now in weight paint, you're on RG root, so now you see your new weight you created. Weight, normalize all, and then I like to smooth for good measure, maybe like 3 times. Ooh, it's heavy. All right. All groups. Make sure it's set on like all groups so it affects all groups. Okay. So now this should deform a bit better, I think. Yeah. I mean, a bit better, like at least the root doesn't move anymore. So when you go like this, I mean, it tries its best, right? But yeah, so now you know how that works. So that's how rigging the hair works. And to prove that it works, you can, or rather to test, you don't have to prove me anything, right? You do this and yay, it follows the head. So yeah, it's real cool. Works pretty nice. So yeah, that's let me do one final render. So yeah, that's how you rig, create your own pony from scratch. We've seen a lot of things. It was really long. Probably had to edit a bunch of parts out of this. But yeah, if I did that in like, an hour or two, you can probably, take your time with it and really make your OC shine. But hopefully this was enough of an example so you can see, from A to Z how to do this. And hopefully this answers any ambiguity, any question. If there's anything else, anything particular that needs my attention, just make sure to leave a comment or join the Discord or, anything. Like, just, send me a pigeon, just, yeah, hopefully I'll try to answer, in the shortest delays. But yeah, have a good one.